Meet the healthy and happy residents of a local ranch as we celebrate National Alpaca Farm Days in Sunland, California. And stay with us as we attempt to master the complexities of the popular Rubik's Cube and its global appeal on this edition of Out and About.
This is National Alpaca Farm Days, which is the last weekend in September. Just started last year was the first one, and it's when all the alpaca breeders get together and have open houses or open ranch days. Our national marketing organization, AOBA, the Alpaca Owners and Breeders Association, has sponsored this weekend. They do advertising nationwide so that all the alpaca breeders can have open houses and invite the public out to participate in a day on the farm.
We're in Sunland, California, and with us today is my good friend and colleague, Conrad P. Monty. Conrad, you're going to ask a few questions for us today, too, aren't you?
Well, I think so. In fact, I think I'm co-hosting with you here today, Roger, at the Alpaca Ranch.
I didn't read the contract.
Oh, yeah. Well, my agent will send it over. Geez, this is fascinating out here. These animals are just beautiful. And they're so docile and pretty. I really am really impressed.
Kind of like your wife.
Yeah, my wife's not docile, but pretty. A happy herd of hoofed residents greet visitors to a popular ranch in Sunland, California. Twisted Lock Alpacas is home to dozens of these exotic creatures, which originate from South America but have become popular in the States for their mild temperament and gentle nature.
Well, alpacas are members of the camelid family. They're related to camels and llamas. They are prized for their fleece, which is on the par with cashmere in terms of quality and softness and fineness. It's highly prized for sweaters and jackets, coats, rugs, socks, you name it. Very high quality fiber.
How on earth did you get involved with alpacas?
Actually, through the ilovealpacas.com commercial. We saw a commercial about 4 years ago now, my wife and I, and we kind of made a sarcastic joke out of it and said, oh yeah, we'll get rich, we'll have the lifestyle, we'll raise alpacas. And just for fun, I Googled alpacas and did a little bit of research, and a few hours later I said, you know, Kat, this actually sounds kind of interesting. We should check into it. So the next day we went to an alpaca ranch and visited a couple more over the next few weeks, and then 5 weeks later we bought our first 4 alpacas.
Well, you started out with 4, but I see more than 4 of them here.
Yes, we have about 105 here at the moment.
How did that happen, may I ask, or dare I ask?
Well, usually when you buy alpacas, you buy them already pregnant. So 3 out of our first 4 were already pregnant. So we had babies from those, and then we continued to buy more. We just fell in love with the animals and the lifestyle, and we saw the potential in the business, and so we kept investing. And now we personally own about 60, and then we also board or adjust other people's animals here.
So I was worried about that, where to take my alpaca when I go away for the weekend.
Bring it here, we'll take care of it.
The owners of Twisted Lock offer numerous amenities for their alpacas, including spacious paddocks and a steady supply of hay and other supplements to keep them healthy and active. In what has become a tightly knit herd, Members of this family enjoy the companionship of dozens of other alpacas, but the contact is limited to those of the same gender, with the males and females kept in separate areas.
This is where we put our late-term girls who are due within the next month or so. We'll bring them into this pen, and then right after they give birth, we'll keep the newborn crias or babies in here until they get old enough that we can move them out with the general population. That's what we have here. Also, we bring in some thin girls who maybe need some extra food in their diet to bring up their weight. We'll put them in here because all the late-term girls get extra feedings. So over there, though, in the next pen over is more of our breeding area. We have a couple of smaller breeding pens, and then the girls who are actively either going to be bred or have just been bred and not confirmed pregnant, we'll keep in that pen because it's much easier to access them to put them with the males. Now, in the lower part of the property down there, we have another female pen where we keep the midterm girls. Here we have the early bred girls and the late term girls, but in the middle of their pregnancy they don't need as much attention, so we have them in a lower pen down there. And then in the far pens we have the males, where we have our herd sires and pet males and just a general male population.
Now, do you bring the stud up here? Okay, now do you do that with a halter, or how do you get them up here?
Yes, we have a halter, very much like a horse halter or something like that, and we'll go down and we'll catch the male. And the breeding males know what you're after them for, so they will allow themselves to be caught very easily as a general rule.
No surprise there.
Yeah, yeah, they're very excited about their job. So we go down, we catch the male, we put a halter on him and just walk him up here and bring him in to the breeding pen over there, and usually the female's already there waiting for him. And the whole process takes anywhere from 15 minutes to about 45 minutes. We will watch the entire breeding and note the behavior, time it, and keep extensive records on exactly what took place.
Now, does this breed, I mean, it's kind of a dumb question in a way, but horses sleep standing up. Do these animals sleep standing up?
They do not. They cush. They lie down, they fold their legs underneath them and just lie on their bellies, basically. They will lie there with their heads up and chew their cud all night long. And you'll come out here and you'll see them chewing their cud. You can walk right up to them and touch them, and they don't even see you because they're kind of in a daze. It's weird.
And do the studs fight?
The studs do wrestle with each other. They're not aggressive towards people, but there is a little dominance thing going on, a pecking order that they have to establish. And so you'll hear them screaming and neck wrestling, and sometimes you have to separate the breeding males from each other and have us. You really never have alpacas by themselves. They always have to have a herd.
Alpacas are highly social animals and thrive when they are in close contact with other alpacas. Persons interested in owning an alpaca are encouraged to own a second one of the same gender to foster their deeply rooted need for companionship.
One question about the social activities of these beautiful creatures. Do they run? How fast? Do they jump? What is that like?
They do run quite a bit, especially when the weather's cool. They do what we call pronking, which is like a running hop sort of excited kind of dance they do, especially the babies, but the adults sometimes join in as well. But they're very good jumpers. They're agile animals, and the only defense they have really is to run, so they're quite good at running.
I did want to ask about shearing them. What is that process like, and why do you do it, and how do you do it?
Well, we shear them obviously for their fleece. The fleece, as I mentioned earlier, is like cashmere. It's very, very fine, comfortable against the skin, and highly prized. So that's the first reason for shearing them. The second is to take the heat away from the animal. They get overheated very easily with all that fiber on them. It has very good insulating qualities, much warmer than wool for the same weight. And so we don't want to get overheated, so we shear them usually at the beginning of the summer.
Though our visit happened to be at the end of summer, Ron was kind enough to offer us a glimpse of his alpaca shearing skills. The demonstration is a lesson in patience and endurance for both Ron and his unwitting volunteer.
I started doing my own shearing last year. We used to hire a shearer to come in. We have shearers that travel nationwide and just go from farm to farm and shear all the animals in 1 or 2 days. But I wanted a little more control over the process, and I am just fascinated by those kinds of things anyway, so I decided to learn it myself. And I sheared a little over 100 animals this year.
You learned to shear by watching others do it?
I participated in some other shearings. I bought videos. I watched other people. I helped at the national show this year. They did some shearing, and I assisted those guys, and had a lot of fun with it. And then from there, it's just practice.
Depending upon its size, an alpaca's coat can yield 5 to 10 pounds of sheared fleece. During the removal, an assistant stands by to divide the fleece into piles. The separated quantities of good, better, and best will be applied to specific uses depending upon its quality and condition. Tell me, when you take the fleece off the creature, do you divide it up? Is there good fleece and bad fleece? I don't know.
There is good fleece and bad fleece. There is first, second, and thirds. The firsts are the best quality. That would make sweaters and gloves and socks and things like that. Second quality, probably more towards maybe socks and blankets and things like that. And thirds, I'm not sure what they do with the thirds, but we keep them anyway.
Well, we could probably use it ourselves somehow.
That's a possibility. If you would like to learn how to spin it into yarn, you can probably do that.
You give lessons?
No, sir, I sure don't. That would be something that Ashley could probably show you, Ron's daughter.
Well, of course, we saw you bringing the alpaca down here. How do you secure it so that you can make this wonderful performance?
We secure their legs and their heads so they can't wiggle around to hurt themselves while they're being sheared. They don't like it too much, but it's a lot safer than trying to do it, I think, standing up.
I guess when it's all over with, they have second thoughts.
They probably do, yeah. But then once they feel that they're a lot cooler without their coats, then they're fine.
With the shearing demonstration winding down, Ron completes the finishing touches on his subject's impromptu haircut. The table is then slowly and carefully swiveled downward to render the alpaca back on its feet, a process which can often confuse the already disoriented animal. The stunned but relieved animal is soon returned to the safety of its paddock, where it is greeted by the others before quickly rejoining the safety and security of its mother. The newly sheared alpaca is a sight to behold, and one of the many reasons why these unique animals are finding their way into people's hearts.
They're wonderful pets. They used to be known as the huggable investment, and they really aren't that. That's misleading. They aren't that affectionate. Some of them are, but in general they're standoffish and they're very timid and cat-like.
Not everyone has one of these creatures in their backyard. What is entailed in taking care of them?
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot to take care of these guys. They're fairly self-sufficient. We just feed them orchard grass hay. They eat 2 to 3 pounds a day. We give them a pellet supplement, which is based on alfalfa, and we provide them basic medical care. We do toenail trimming about once or twice a year, depending on the animal. If the animals are pregnant, then we do ultrasounds and we monitor their pregnancy and give annual worming shots and that kind of thing. But it's very minimal care, actually.
For further information on the care and breeding of alpacas, or if you're interested in owning one of these unique and exotic creatures, contact the owners at Twisted Lock Alpacas, located in Sunland, California. When we return, we'll endure the twists and turns of one of pop culture's most baffling sensations. Find out why the Rubik's Cube continues to confound puzzle solvers from across the globe when Out and About continues.